Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Eid Mubarak. The Sultanate continues celebrating the days of blessed Eid al-Adha amid precautionary measures due to the spread of the coronavirus. The citizens and residents are adhering to the decisions issued by the COVID-19 Supreme Committee on banning gatherings and all types of social activities. The people of the Sultanate celebrate Eid while preparing special meals as the customs and traditions differ in each governorate. Meanwhile, the citizens and residents exchanged Eid greetings through social media means as the families celebrated this blessed occasion inside their homes. On the third day of Eid al-Adha, celebrations continue throughout the Sultanate, where people spending quality time with their families.
Let's enjoy this happy day.
On its third day of Eid al-Adha, celebrations continues across the Sultanate, taking into consideration the precautionary measures due to the spread of the coronavirus. The citizens and residents are adhering to the decisions issued by the Supreme Committee dealing with COVID-19 of forbidding gatherings and all types of social activities. Each family is spending quality time full of joy with their children at home, utilizing time to talk about Omani tradition and Islamic tradition in these special days, preparing variety of traditional meals that are of different kind from one governorate to another.
Eid Mubarak, everyone. Stay home, stay safe.
Celebration Eid at home with family is fantastic. Stay home, stay safe.
Eid Mubarak.
All my families and all my friends, stay safe, stay home, and you go anywhere wearing your mask. Eid Mubarak.
Spend my Eid with my family at home. Eid Mubarak. Eid Mubarak.
Citizens and residents continued to exchange Eid greetings through social media means as the families celebrated this blessed occasion inside their homes. Abdullah bin Ahmed al-Rubai, Sultanate of Oman Television, Muscat. The Omani students studying in Australia universities celebrated Eid al-Adha following precautionary measures, while some states in Australia are witnessing the second wave of coronavirus. More details in the following report.
Amid the coronavirus pandemic, Eid al-Adha celebration this year is totally unprecedented. In Australia, different precautionary measures are being implemented across its various states. In the states that have passed the first wave of COVID-19 and live with eased restrictions, the Australian government has allowed some social activities like gatherings and visits to take place, which gave the Omani students the opportunity to celebrate the joyful occasion of Eid al-Adha.
Since New South Wales government has lowered the restrictions over the outdoor gatherings and the number of students who are left in Sydney is small, we as a society decided to hold a small gathering to celebrate Eid al-Adha. We are very pleased that we had this opportunity, as this is our very first activity this year, since all the other plans that we had for this year has been stopped due to the pandemic. And we're trying to keep everyone safe today, so we try and follow the social distance rules and we try to separate the bigger groups. And we really hope everyone have fun today and feel most like home.
Other states of Australia are affected by the second wave of coronavirus, which prompted the local governments of these states to reimpose the precautionary measures and to direct the public to stay at home and not to go out except for extreme necessity. In the state of Victoria, particularly in Melbourne, which is witnessing the reactivation of the precautionary measures, the government allowed the in-house gatherings at a single residence only, without accepting visits, which made Omani students to celebrate the occasion at home by preparing halwa, ursiya and shua.
This Eid is little different for us. Not only students in Australia are far from their families and from their home country, but also students in Melbourne are in a lockdown, which means gathering is not possible. We have, however, managed to send our wishes to our friends through social media, and we have also celebrated the Eid in our home.
At the implementation of the precautions, a person is allowed out for 4 reasons: shopping for necessity, treatment and care, sports activity, or work and study if it is not possible from home, while the Australian government emphasizes on increasing the number of tests.
Eid al-Adha, the second Eid, is a very significant, very holy and special time for our Islamic community, but it needs to look incredibly different this year than it has ever looked. By staying apart, we keep each other safe. By staying at home, we keep each other safe.
Among such procedures, the Australian research centres and universities are exerting their efforts to help humanity face this pandemic. For the Sultanate of Oman Television, Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi.
Indeed, it's great to see Omani students out there celebrating their Eid, and the best thing is to see that they are well with their Omani tradition. We wish them all the best. Pilgrims continue throwing the pebbles in the second day of Tashriq in Mina, starting with the smaller, the medium and the bigger stones in the symbolic stoning of the devil ritual amid precautionary measures to achieve social distancing between pilgrims due to the coronavirus pandemic. Some of the pilgrims will finish their Hajj rituals at the end of the day, then they will perform farewell tawaf around Holy Kaaba, which is the final ritual that pilgrims should perform before they return back home. The Minister of Environment and Climate Affairs, Mecca, issued around 12,000 permits last year in different environmental fields for industrial service, infrastructure and infrastructure projects. More details in the following report.
The Ministry of Environment and Climate Affairs strives to protect and conserve the Sultanate's natural resources and to deliver high-quality services to its stakeholders to achieve sustainable development. The annual report for 2019 indicated that the ministry issued about 12,000 permits in various environmental fields for industrial, service and infrastructure projects, such as environmental permits, collection and transport of dry firewood, ozone layer protection, radioactive and chemical substances. The wildlife monitors at the ministry, in cooperation with the concerned authorities, carry out their duties as per the laws and legislations. 343 violations of wildlife protection rules were detected across various governorates around the Sultanate, and 195 reports were recorded related to marine pollution. Among the most important achievements of the Ministry of Environment and Climate Affairs, the Western Hajar Starlight Reserve was established in a Dakhliya Governorate and a Rostaq Wildlife Reserve in South Al-Batina Governorate. In addition to finalizing the formulation of the National Environmental Policy for the energy sector and implementing the GHS system in classifying chemicals as the first country in the Gulf to implement this system. The ministry is also working on a number of development projects, including reclaiming land affected by desertification and the establishment of Qorom Center for Environmental Information. The annual report of the Ministry of Environment and Climate Affairs indicated that the number of visitors to the Dimaniyat Islands Nature Reserve exceeded 31,000, while the number of visitors to Qorom Nature Reserve reached more than 1,500 last year. For the Sultanate of Oman Television, Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi.
Sahar Port received the YM Welcome container ship with over a length of 368 meters and carrying capacity of 14,000 TEU. The first quarter of this year witnessed a growth by 23% in volume of cargo activities compared to the same period last year. In addition, the number of container ships docked at the port increased by 18%. The records show an annual increase by 36% and 24% respectively to the volumes of re-exported cargoes and refrigerated cargo exports.
عاهلا ممجدا من نفوس
The novel coronavirus has killed at least 685,780 people since the outbreak emerged in China last December. At least 17.9 million cases of coronavirus have been registered in 196 countries and territories. Of these, at least 10.3 million are now considered recovered. Yesterday, 5,557 new deaths and 263,110 new cases were recorded worldwide. The United States is the worst hit country with 154,449 deaths from 4.62 million cases. After the US, the hardest hit countries are Brazil with 93,563 deaths, Mexico 47,472, the United Kingdom 46,193, and India with 37,364 deaths. Europe overall has 210,487 deaths from 3.19 million cases. Asia has recorded 63,844 deaths. The Middle East 27,643, and Africa with 19,930. The Premier of Australia's hard-hit Victoria State has declared a disaster among sweeping new coronavirus restrictions across Melbourne and elsewhere. From tonight, an evening curfew will be implemented across Melbourne from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. Premier Daniel Andrews says the state of disaster proclamation gave police greater power. He said 671 new coronavirus cases had been detected since yesterday, including 7 deaths. It comes among a steadily increasing toll in both deaths and infections over the past 6 weeks in Victoria. He said there would be more announcements about workplaces tomorrow, including the closure of certain industries. Melbourne residents will only be allowed to shop and exercise within 5 kilometers of their homes. All students across the state will return to home-based learning, and child care centres will be closed. The dates in Victoria took the national toll to 208. Also Sunday, New South Wales confirmed its first coronavirus-related death in more than a month, as authorities sought to suppress a number of growing clusters at a hotel and several restaurants in Sydney. The head of Mexico's efforts to fight the coronavirus pandemic has sidestepped calls to resign after Mexico's death count rose to overtake the United Kingdom as the 3rd highest in the world. Mexico reported 688 more confirmed COVID-19 deaths on Friday, raising its accumulated total to 46,688. The number of confirmed cases rose by a near record 8,458, bringing Mexico's total cases so far to almost 425,000. Mexico has imposed a very lax and partial lockdown of economic activity that has not stopped high levels of contagion, but has struggled the economy rather than testing or contact tracing. The government has focused on expanding hospitals' facilities. Coronavirus infections in the Philippines surged past 100,000 today in a troubling milestone after medical groups declared that the country was waging a losing battle against the virus and asked the president to reimpose a lockdown in the capital. The Department of Health reported a record high daily tally of 5,032, bringing the total confirmed cases in the country to 103,185, including more than 2,000 deaths. The Philippines has the second most cases in Southeast Asia after Indonesia and has had more infections than China. President Rodrigo Duterte eased a tough virus lockdown in the capital Manila, a city of more than 12 million people, on June 1st after the economy shrunk slightly in the first quarter, its first contraction in more than 2 decades. Torrential rain pounded most of South Korea today, leaving 6 people dead and 7 others missing. The Minister of the Interior and Safety said that the heavy rainfall triggered landslides in dozens of places, flooded residential areas and roads, and damaged some riverside structures. Much of damage occurred in the Seoul metropolitan area and the central region. The torrential rain also left 6 people injured and 360 others homeless. The Seoul area and the central region are expected to continue to receive heavy rain until tomorrow morning. The number of forest fires in the Brazilian Amazon last month rose 28% from July 2019. Satellite data showed yesterday, fueling fears the world's biggest rainforest will again be devastated by fires this year. Brazil's National Space Agency identified 6,803 fires in the Amazon region in July 2020, up from 5,318 the year before. Brazil holds around 60% of the Amazon basin region and the massive forest seen as vital to containing the impact of climate change. The fires are largely set to clear and illegally for farming, ranching and mining. Activists accuse Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, a far-right climate change skeptic, of encouraging the deforestation, with calls to open up the rainforest to agriculture and industry. ByteDance, the Chinese parent company of widely popular TikTok, has offered to sell the app's U.S. operations as a way to avert a ban by the government of President Donald Trump. After weeks of rumors and pressure, Trump said yesterday he was preparing to bar the app from operating in the United States, perhaps by executive order. TikTok is especially popular with young audiences who create and watch its short-form videos, has an estimated 1 billion users worldwide. But U.S. officials have raised concerns that it could be used as a tool for Chinese intelligence, a claim the firm has repeatedly denied. Some reports have indicated that Microsoft is in advanced talks to buy TikTok. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Eid al-Adha celebrations continue in the Sultanate amid precautionary measures. Pilgrims continue their Hajj rituals by throwing pebbles in days of At-Tashriq at Mina. And the coronavirus cases reach 18 million and deaths surpass 685,000 worldwide. And with that, we come to an end of tonight's news bulletin. Our message from the newsroom and the studio's teams to you all is that the virus remains public enemy number one. Together, we must continue to accelerate our efforts to curb coronavirus. So let's continue to do it, and we shall succeed. God help us. Good night to all of you.